recruiting event that we would normally be doing at the school. My name is Donald Nagel. I'm the arts director, and we're going to start the show off with a 3-minute short video.
Northwest just has this certain creative vibe to it that I haven't really seen at other schools. If I had a friend that wanted to go to Northwest, I would say definitely do it if you are passionate about what you love to do. You have to be able to not only be passionate about what you love, but be able to put in the work here.
The vibrancy of the students here at Northwest is pretty off the charts. I look for what I perceive as being their best levels and their best work, and then try to push them a step beyond that.
We regularly have students that graduate with honors, that go to Carolina, that go to the most prestigious schools, especially the most prestigious art schools. But it's our job to prepare them for whatever they might want to do, and we can't do that unless we're competitive.
Balancing all of your academic classes at Northwest and your major, it does take a lot of effort and dedication. So of course, academics are always first. Miss Spears and all of our staff here are very serious about if you're failing in one of your academic classes or enough of them, you'll go on academic probation. And so that means you basically can't do any of your major stuff. So you definitely have to put in the work in your academic classes.
People wouldn't think that an art school would have such great academics. I mean, we have a 100% graduation rate, and these kids that go here are extremely talented, and you wouldn't expect that they would be smart along with that too. When you're on that stage, you get a really, really great idea of what it's like to be on a professional stage, and with the lights and the tech, and it's a lot of majors coming together, where it's apparel or set and musical theater and straight theater, and even the tech people are all in one space together, working together to create a beautiful piece. So it's really great to be on stage.
It's been my experience in teaching that sometimes students will come to a visual arts class and expect it to be boring or structured because they're in school and they've been sitting for a long time in their math class, in their science class, and what have you. But I try to make sure that my students are engaged and they're learning at the same time.
But here they have to work on a team, because almost everything we do here is team-oriented. And they're going to meet people with vastly different experiences and vastly different interests. And it can be pretty exciting. It can be a little intimidating sometimes too, because you're used to being in your comfort zone. But to some degree, art is all about being brave enough to move out of that comfort zone.
Sometimes when I torture them, when I'm saying do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again, there is that willingness to keep doing it. The students don't give up, and they're really striving towards mastery.
Well, hopefully the video got you excited enough that you're going to hang around for the presentation. Again, my name is Donald Nagel. I'm the Arts Director at Northwest School of the Arts, and welcome to this first ever virtual streaming of our school. We normally would welcome you to the campus, which we're really proud of, but as we say around the campus in visual and performing arts, the show must go on. So start with some basic information, and then I'm going to turn it over to each of the departments, who will then go into a little bit of a description about what we're all about. And we'll also hear from our senior guidance counselor, James French, who will talk to you about the academic components that make the school what it is. So keep in mind, we are grades 6 through 12, so we're 2 schools. We're a middle school and we're a high school. We are unique in the sense that our art staff are, for the most part, artists themselves. We're really proud of our staff and their accomplishments. For instance, our department chair for the theater, Corey Mitchell, won the very first Tony Award for Excellence in Education. Brian Wilson, who's our department chair for visual arts, who you're going to hear from in a little bit, he is a renowned artists in the area and up and coming nationally. You could see Brian's work hanging in the Gant Center uptown. You could go through all of our arts teachers and you'll pretty much find the artists, their accomplishments are of great importance to the value of that you get when you're in the classrooms with these teachers. Also, our relationship with the arts community is quite unique. I always go back to when we got our new theater, which I'll talk about in a second. I sent out an invitation to the CEOs of the arts community, from the Hall to the Belk to the Charlotte Symphony, Opera Carolina, Charlotte Ballet, and to my surprise, every single CEO of the arts community came to our ribbon cutting ceremony. And it was pretty much the first time that they've all been together at one event. And that just shows you the importance that they value on the school and the relationships that we have. So whether it's the Charlotte Symphony, where we write a grant every year and we have a residency program where members of the symphony, starting at the beginning of the school year right through the end of the school year, they work with our musicians, our students, one-on-one in small groups. Opera Carolina, we've started that with them a couple of years ago, and they're also doing like a short residency program with our chorus department. We have an amazing relationship, and Chandra McLeod, who's going to be talking, she's department chair for dance, with Alvin Ailey and the other major dance companies. It's pretty unique what goes on at the school with these relationships. We are an award-winning school of not only local stature, but on the national level. This year, we were invited to the International Thespian Festival for our production of A Chorus Line, which we were one of 7 schools to be invited to that. Unfortunately, circumstances prevented us from, or any schools, from partaking in that. Hopefully, there'll be another way for our students to do that, and we're waiting to hear about that. So whether it's the theater department or the visual arts department or the music department, adjudication, we get superior ratings is the norm. Visual arts department racks up a bunch of gold key scholastic awards yearly. It's quite a unique place. For those of you who are listening, just wanted to let you know that yes, we are a middle school and a high school, and we go through painstaking efforts to keep the 2 schools separate. So for instance, in the academic building, the middle school is on 2 floors and the high school is on their own floor. Students don't share bathrooms with the middle school and high school. We really keep the 2 very separate. There's separate lunches, there's middle school lunches, and there's high school lunches. And we're not that large of a school, so we're not one of those schools that start lunch at 10 o'clock in the morning. We have normal lunch hours from like around noon to approximately 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which is really great. Again, we have approximately, give or take, every year about 160 to 180 students per grade. Okay, so that makes that kind of intimate. We are a 9:15 to 4:15 bell schedule, and we do offer busing, community stops, which if you have any questions ever about transportation, the place that you want to contact to get any of your questions answered about transportation would be calling transportation. They are the ones who could tell you about stops. They're the ones who tell you about travel time, being that we do service the entire county. And we have some strategic stops for like shuttle stops and stuff like that. But the last place you really want to call is the school. We are not responsible for transportation other than welcoming the students in the morning and then making sure that they get on the buses to leave. Other than that, anytime you have any questions about transportation, please focus that to transportation. Also, we're 9:15 to 4:15, and it's important that you keep that in mind. Some parents have plans on their own to drop the kids off at different times that don't work with us. and that will not work for you in the long run. You can't, if you decide not to use the transportation, you can't be dropped off before 8:45 in the morning, and you cannot be on campus after 4:30. We have very limited clubs in the school. We have like honor society clubs that meet every once in a while, and there's a couple other random clubs that we have, but because we're not a community-based school, we do not have a lot of after school or before school events. So that's why it's really important to keep in mind our bell schedule and the drop-off and pickup times. Of course, if a student is rehearsing with a department, not talking about that because rehearsals do take place sometimes before school, after school, even sometimes on Saturdays, depending on the department and depending on the teacher in that department. Every teacher at the school offers tutoring. So of course, if a student makes arrangements with that teacher for tutoring sessions, again, that is beyond the 8:45 and the 4:30 rule, as long as there's arrangements made. But again, it's really important to understand our time schedule. I'm proud to say that for about 25 years, we're the only CMS middle high school that is undefeated in sports. And I could say that proudly because we do not have sports. If you are a sports inclined person and you live and breathe sports like my son, this would not be a really good fit for you at Northwest School of the Arts. Sports is really not the topic of conversation. These are students who are very passionate about their art. So I always throw that out there because, you know, there are some students who just live and breathe sports, and that's not Northwest School of the Arts. But we are undefeated in sports. We are an A-day, B-day school with 4 blocks a day, but Mr. French, our guidance counselor, will go into more detail about that. He'll also go into a little bit more detail about the curriculum. We are the same as any other CMS school as far as curriculum goes. Whatever you would do at a normal, regular, non-arts magnet school, you would do at our school as far as curriculum goes. We have standard classes, we have honors classes, and we have AP classes. And again, Mr. French will go into that. And I also invite you to Google U.S. News and World Report. In fact, on Wednesday of this week, they came out with their rating. They do every year. They look at about 24 to 26,000 schools, high schools in the nation, and they rank them based on AP offerings. And we are consistently in the 600 to 800 range out of 24 to 26,000 schools. And that, again, is based on our AP offerings, which is pretty awesome. And you don't have to take my word for that. You can Google U.S. News and World Report, best high schools. The other thing I want to mention, I'm not going to go into any detail about the audition or the application process. Kashara Davis, our Auditions Coordinator, will do that in a few minutes. I just want to make sure that everybody listening knows that if you come into our school in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, you still need to audition if you want to go to our high school. It's not an automatic to go from our middle school to our high school. For middle school, an audition is really about aptitude and do you have what we feel would be success in your craft, be successful in our school. So it's a lot about aptitude, and that's what the driving force is. It's a little different when you want to go to our high school. At that point, we're really looking more for the artists. You could academically do well because all of our arts classes do have the academic component, and you could be an A, B student and still not pass the audition for high school because you don't have that art inner strength that we're looking for. So again, everybody coming in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade for middle school, in 8th grade, you would have to audition again. And on the last note, we do have academic probation, and it was in the video, it was mentioned, and we are really big believers in academic probation because we we go through painstaking efforts to make sure that everybody is academically successful at our school. And academic probation at our school is sort of like what you would find at a high school that had a sports team. If you do not pass 2 or more of your classes, you will go on academic probation, and that will limit your ability to partake in any extracurricular activities. So we're really big on academics. Our current principal, Melody Sears, when she took over the reins, I think the very first meeting, the first few minutes that she met the staff for the first time, she had told us that, you know, our reputation as an art school is great. Why can't we have the same reputation academically? And I can honestly say that, you know, I'm here 10 years, and we have steadily gone on the upscale to being one of the top-rated schools in CMS. And I am going to stop talking for now, and I am going to turn this over to a really good friend of mine and an accomplished artist herself, and that would be Chandra McLeod, our department chair for dance. Take it away, Chandra.
Well, hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm going to speak a little bit about the dance department in middle school and high school. Next slide. Okay, so yeah, we really want you to come and grow with us, excel with us. The middle school dance major, next slide, please, consists of 1 course per, for the 6th grade, you have Dance Majors 1, okay, and that's a year-long course where we work on ballet and modern technique as well as choreography. Every grade level gets to perform in the spring dance concert, provided that you're not on academic probation and you receive at least an 80 or above in your dance class. In 7th grade, this is where it splits into 2 different pathways. You can be enrolled in Dance Majors 2, and that's the year-long course. Now we might add jazz and continue to build those ballet and modern skills and choreography skills because we really do want to work on the whole artist, right? We don't want to just teach you choreography. We want you to also be choreographers yourself. Or you could do ballet. It does require teacher placement, teacher signature, and this only focuses on enhancing ballet technique, okay? And then in 8th grade, Dance Majors 3 is offered. Now we're getting into, ballet, modern, jazz, ethnic dance, and choreography skills. Ballet 8 is another teacher signature required, teacher placement required course, right? So you will do, yes, on ballet technique, but this is where we also focus on performance skills. So because you have been trained in the technique, in ballet technique, you have a strong technique, you've got strong lines, great alignment, great recall. That's where we can get into different styles. So it is called Ballet 8, but we also call it Performance Ensemble because if the mayor or someone else says, hey, Ms. Glover, we need a performer, we need a performance, it's usually going to be this class because they are technically proficient. And this is the class that usually goes to the North Carolina Scholastics dance ensemble competition, and we are the state champs. So I get excited about that. But I do believe it's because of the strong ballet and performance skills that they've been training in since 6th grade. Now, a lot of students come to Northwest and they think that they're only going to do dance, they'll only learn steps, but we also infuse anatomy and kinesiology, we do dance history, we do nutrition, so it's not just steps. They have weekly journals. We want to really develop the whole dancer. And then at the bottom here, we are a technique-based school. All the other middle school dance programs are creative movement-based. We do offer scholarships. I started my own scholarship, the Walk in Your Excellence Scholarship, where one person per grade level receives $300 to $500 to extend their dance training, their dance knowledge. And that's for every one student per every grade level. So 6th through 12th grade, they can apply for the Walk in Your Excellence Scholarship. We have unique opportunities that roll back to the scholarships. So there's the Connected Foundation that offers scholarships every single year to go to the AILE Intensive. And now that we've had so much success with offering the AILE Intensive at Northwest, now next year we'll be offering the AILE Summer Intensive Scholarship. So it's just awesome. I'm really excited about these different opportunities that the students get. And then we're the only middle school in CMS with a Dance Honor Society, and that's internationally recognized. They work on service. They work on, of course, excellence in dance training, but this really is about service. Next slide. Okay, so for this time period, we are doing virtual dance auditions. And if you click on requirements, it gives a document. It should open up to a document that lists all of the requirements for the middle school dance audition. So that is perfect. They will submit 2 videos. One is just a demonstration video. We just want to know this just simple technique, plies, tendus, and a balance. Then in the 1-minute video, it's a solo performance choreographed by the student. This is where you can have free range, right? Let's see your choreographic skills. Let's see how you move. Do you have smooth transitions, dynamic movement choices? Do you vary the tempo? And so forth and so on. We do not want you to use TikTok videos or trending dances. We want you to step outside the box. Okay, and then if we could go back to the slide, and then there's the submission form here. And really it's this generic submission form through Google Forms, but you will have to upload your videos, provide your link to your videos. So there's no uploading an entire video. It's just providing that URL. Okay. And then if we can go to the next slide. High school is so now we're looking for technical proficiency. Okay, so middle school potential, high school proficiency is very different. Okay, if you could go to the information. So in high school, you actually do declare a major. So you're either going to be a ballet major, taking 4 years of ballet and 3 years of modern, or you're going to be a modern major, taking 4 years of modern and 3 years of ballet. We do offer point at this level. Just to backtrack a little bit, if your dancer does do point or is on point and is in middle school, they are welcome to audition a variation and have a solo in the spring concert. But moving on, yes, we focus on choreography throughout the different levels. So there's modern beginning through advanced. it's the students who are enrolled in Modern Advanced who get to do their own student choreography showcase, in which, okay, they have learned all of the composition skills, maybe from 6th grade on, and then they get to showcase their talent. And they get to choose the genre. It's really awesome. It's our biggest selling concert, actually. And then it's a really cool way for the department to come together. We do offer electives, and then there's honors credit, and you can get chords by being in Dance Honor Society. You must be in Dance Honor Society, the secondary chapter, so the high school chapter, for at least 3 years. Okay, and if we could go back out and go to the pathway in high school. So this is just a generic, this is a typical 9th grade. You start at the beginning level. 10th grade, you would do intermediate. 11th grade is proficient, and then 12th grade is advanced. There are deviations from this. So if you audition and you're on the intermediate level in 9th grade, then we put you up to intermediate, and so forth and so on. But we offer tap and jazz and a separate point class. And the point class does not, that's seen as an elective. It's not seen as a normal class, right? That goes towards your major. Okay, and then if we can come back out of there. And then the last slide is just my information. We have our DAB website, so that stands for Dance Arts Boosters, and it's really a one-stop shop for information that's going on in the dance department.
Chandra, real quick question before you turn it over. How many high schools in North Carolina teach point?
That would be one.
And what one school is that?
That'd be Northwest School of the Arts.
Thank you.
Unless it's UNCSA, but that's, yeah, that's a little bit different from us.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
All yours.
Okay, so we're gonna now turn it over to my colleague, Erica Hefner, for information on the music department.
Thank you, Chandra. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. My name is Erica Hefner, and I'm representing the music department today. We have 4 majors within our music department, and those are band, orchestra, chorus, and piano. We are one of very few, if not the only school that has a thriving piano program. So that's something that's unique. And I want to go over first some of the things that are common threads among each major. All of our musicians have at least one year-long arts majors class. Each of those classes will perform approximately 4 times per year. There is an additional music theory class offered at both middle and high school levels, among a few other things that we'll get to later in the presentation. All of our musicians have the opportunity to audition for honors events such as National Federation, CMS Honors, Western Region, District, State events, all of those things. And then finally, I just want to let everyone know that our music auditions are live auditions, and they are by appointment only. All of these occur on Fridays from 10 to 11 a.m., but that is only by appointment because we can only accommodate a certain number of students in one session. And we don't want anyone to be ready for an audition and not be able to play it. So it's really important that you stay in touch with your email and with Kashara Davis, our audition coordinator, to make sure that we get all the pieces and parts put together for that. All right, we'll go into a little bit about our middle school chorus auditions. So here you have some pictures and an outline of the middle school chorus audition requirements. You're going to need to know your solfege scale and arpeggio with hand signs. And you're going to need to sing My Country 'Tis of Thee. That is the required solo for middle school choir. And then you'll choose your own solo, something that makes you sound the absolute best that that you think you can be. The only exceptions to that is they don't want to hear any pop or gospel tunes. Some of the things that you can look for are patriotic songs, classical art songs, folk songs, hymns, opera, musical theater. Any of those genres are perfectly acceptable. We're not going to go into any of the links right now for the sake of time, but my understanding is that this presentation will be shared with everyone, and you can go through and actually find some resources to help your child prepare for the audition. And we can move on to high school chorus. All right, audition requirements for high school chorus are similar. Again, you have to know your solfege scales and arpeggios. But here you're going to need to know a major and a minor. Again, My Country 'Tis of Thee as a required solo and a prepared solo as well. Sight singing is not required in the virtual platform, but it is recommended for any student that is wishing to place out of our entry-level ensemble. All right, we can move on to the next slide. Here we have our piano requirements. And again, there are several links here that will take you to some instructional materials if you need it. Beginners are accepted at the 6th grade level, the 9th grade level, and the 10th grade level. And to audition for beginning piano, you'll need to name the white keys on the piano and be able to identify where middle C is located. You'll need to identify treble clef and bass clef notes. And then you'll go through a mini lesson with our wonderful piano teacher, Ms. Donnell. Experienced players need to know their scales. They'll do a sight reading excerpt that will assist in placing them in the correct class. And then you'll need to, again, prepare a solo that best demonstrates your ability as a pianist. We can move on to the next slide. All right, for our band program, for the middle school, you want to make sure that you know 3 scales. Whatever scales are most familiar to you make you sound the best. And you'll play a prepared solo, something that makes you sound the very best and demonstrates your best ability as a musician. And then you'll do a basic sight reading excerpt. That does not apply to our rising 6th graders. So for our rising 6th graders, the requirements are a little less. We want to hear at least 1 scale, and we want to hear some sort of solo that demonstrates your ability, but you will not do the sight reading. For the high school level, you're going to play 5 scales and also a prepared solo that's going to be of some length. So for the high school level, you don't want to choose like a selection from a method book because that would be only maybe 8 or 16 measures of music. You want to select something that is longer. So maybe a piece that you played with your middle school band or a solo that you prepared for a CMS honors audition or something of that nature. And then finally, sight reading. The sight reading for the music department is, it isn't a make it or break it for the audition, but it helps us place the students in the correct class where they're going to be the most successful and where they're going to learn the most. All right, we can move on to orchestra. All right, so for orchestra, for middle school, there's going to be some scales that you need to perform. For the 6th grade level, it's just a D major scale. And the requirements get a little more difficult as you move up in grade level. There is a required solo for each grade level, and these are available on the Auditions website. And then you're also going to choose a solo. Again, I can't reiterate this enough. The choice of solo needs to be something that you feel demonstrates your best musicianship. And then for the high school level, again, we'll have that sight reading piece in there to determine the best class to place you in. We can move to the next slide. All right, so I just wanted to point out a few things that makes our music department unique and different from what you may get at another traditional school. We have a recital seminar class, which is for instrumental musicians. It's a chamber music class, meaning small groups. The students perform in duets, trios, quartets. And for our choral side, this is a solo voice class. We have strong partnerships with the Charlotte Symphony as well as Opera Carolina. We have professional musicians from these organizations come in to work with the students in these classes. We also offer a music teacher apprenticeship class, and this class allows juniors and seniors to gain teaching experience by working with one of our music classes. And we can move to the next slide. All right, and the final portion of the music department section, I just want to note some of the other things that make our department unique. We are big on collaboration. We're always looking for ways that we can do things together between our different disciplines. Each year we do the instrumental musicians will do full orchestra pieces. Our middle and high school choir collaborates quite often on concerts. And each year, the entire department, all 4 disciplines, collaborate on a masterwork. And you can see the picture there of the crammed stage full of students. We also take a lot of field trips. You can see some of the pictures here are from our trips to the Belk Theater, to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, Disney World, and the Grand Canyon. So thank you. That is it for the music department section. And I'm going to turn it over to our amazing theater representative, Madia Medico.
Hello, everyone. I am Madia Medico. I am one of 6 theater department teachers, and I'm going to be talking to you about our theater department today. My slides focus on the middle school, but I will also be talking about our high school program as well for any people who are present who are interested in our high school program. Next slide, please. All right, so we have 2 majors that middle schoolers can audition for. We have drama and we have musical theater. With drama, you audition with a monologue from our website, which you can find at NWSA and you will, for our virtual auditions, you will record yourself performing this monologue and you will upload it to a Google form that will be emailed to you after you put in your application for your audition. All of that can be found on the audition website. All of that information will be addressed again at another point. So you audition in 6th grade. If you get in, you take Drama 6, where we focus on basic skills. Just like all of my colleagues have said, we're looking for people who have potential. So we're not looking for a perfect artist, a perfect actor. And we're going to start building those skills in 6th grade with the basics. We build more in Drama 7. We build more in Drama 8. We do have an 8th grade honors drama class that is called Performance Company. This is our audition only class. And this class will be going to the North Carolina Theater Conference 1-act competition with one of our 2 submissions. So NCTC, the North Carolina Theater Conference, has a middle school level and a high school level. Last year, we only took 1 show per level. This year, we're going to take 2 shows per level. So that will be 2 middle school shows and 2 high school shows. One of the middle school shows will be done by our 8th grade honors class, and the other NCTC piece for middle school is open to everyone. You don't even have to be a theater major to audition, which is one of the great things about NCTC. It's an opportunity for everyone, but it is audition based. Once you get into high school, if you audition for high school, you have to do 2 monologues in your audition instead of 1. Those, again, can be found on our website. Just like all the other programs, in your audition, you can be placed in the intermediate level at your audition. If you're in the 11th grade, you might be placed at the proficient level, but we do offer beginning, intermediate, proficient, advanced for those classes. There's also an additional honors class for those students of ours who skipped the beginning level, who were placed in the intermediate level for their senior year for an advanced class there. And that is our theater major. Moving on to the next slide, please. So we have musical theater as the other major that middle schoolers can audition for. So you have musical theater, grade 6, grade 7, grade 8. In each of these classes, we're focusing on training your singing, training your acting skills as it pertains to performing in theater. Each grade level of the musical theater classes present a music review performance in the spring. That is part of their classwork. It is a giant class project that they put together. For those auditions, you will be performing a song and a monologue. For middle school, you will be uploading those in video format to our Google form. And with the high school, just like with drama, you might be placed in intermediate, you might be placed in proficient. It depends on your grade level and where you are. But the audition requirements are very similar, and those can be found on our website, and that information will be given to you at a later date. Next slide, please. So here are some of our opportunities that we have. The middle school puts on a musical every year. The high school puts on a musical every year. I'm actually repping this past year's middle school musical shirt, Once Upon a Mattress. We do 2 North Carolina Theater Conference 1 acts in middle school, 2 for high school. And this year, we are starting a brand new elective course for middle schoolers for technical theater. Because technical theater, which is all of the backstage stuff that gets theater going, we work on dance shows, we do other shows as well. That is a major you can audition for in high school. And we found that a lot of our middle school students didn't really have the experience necessary to understand what technical theater was, or they didn't have the skills necessary to do the work at the high school level. So we decided that we were going to start a technical theater elective course. They're both semester in length, 1 for 7th grade, 1 for 8th grade, so then we can start our students out early. Technical theater is a subject that is extremely important to the theater art, but it isn't really taught in middle schools across the board. So we think that this is something that is really unique to Northwest, is offering this opportunity to our middle school students. As I said, we have a tech major for high schools. The information for all of that, you would put together a portfolio with your resume, pictures of your past works. If you're a visual artist, you can take this as an elective. A lot of our students take tech theater as an elective because they're closely connected, and you upload that for tech theater. And we also have an apparel major that is partnered with our CTE program. So our apparel, in that class, you would learn how to read a sewing pattern. You learn how to put garments together. You learn, there's a costume design course where you learn about costume design. You sometimes put together the costumes for our shows. Overall, the theater department never stops working and never runs out of opportunities for our students. And that is it for me. So I'm going to pass the mic over to our visual arts representative, Mr. Brian Wilson.
Greetings. Thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you everybody for what you've shared thus far. Again, my name is Brian Wilson, and I'm going to ask our host, Beth, to do the next slide for us. And this is just a brief video sort of introduction, and then I'll start right after that.
are the students, the students and their talent. Working with the students, I realized how much talent, this school is creating.
For us to be part of helping in the design and the creation of this under the tutelage of Ms. Torres Weiner has been an awesome experience on so many levels.
I was amazed. Like, I want to work with these kids next summer. Maybe not painting, the school, but maybe creating more murals in Charlotte. We had a lot of fun. They're very hardworking and talented students. And I think that was my inspiration, that, I'm not getting younger, and we need, I need to teach the kids how to create murals and pass this to the next generation.
Okay, and we can go to the next slide. Really quick, so just to piggyback off of that video, that was just a brief view of how we are connected to the community. This was the mural project at the front of the school. The artist Rosalia Weiner, she's very well known around Charlotte and surrounding areas. She's very big on community and activism through her art. And we try to focus on these type of opportunities. That's one of the things that sets us apart is our community support. Whether it's the Harvey B. Gantt Center, we've had students intern there in high school, which is something that, they essentially, college students would want these types of opportunities. We've had internship opportunities with the McCall Center. We have these key artists come into the classrooms, which is awesome. We kind of leverage, as artists ourselves, we leverage the relationships that we have to make sure that it benefits the students. Next slide there. All right, we have some links. There are audition forms. We've obviously translated to a virtual or digital format, and our new auditions coordinator, Kashara Davis, she's responsible for making sure everyone has these specific links. But briefly here, we've got your middle school audition form. We do have one for high school. The audition requirements are listed, as well as our Booster Club. The Booster Club website pretty much has like all the same information as my colleague, Ms. McLeod for dance mentioned that their Booster Club site was sort of a one-stop shop. That's sort of how our Booster Club website operates as well. Class fees, supplies, you get a sort of a better idea of what goes on throughout the year. But we certainly have exhibition opportunities. We have a major middle school show in our gallery, which that's another thing that we get to boast, is we have our own gallery on campus, and then we have a major high school show. But there are exhibitions in between, and we tweak those based upon need, whether we want to piggyback off of what performances are going on in the auditorium, or if there's a certain theme exhibit that we want to do. We also compete nationally. Scholastics is a major national competition, and middle and high school have the opportunity to compete. There are myriad other arts contests that happen throughout the year. Like, there's always opportunities for students to compete for money and place, and gain sort of a track record, which that's really a real life skill that we try to get these kids to get used to, is applying as an artist, whether it's that involves image preparation, that involves just the discipline of making sure you're continuing to create work and maintain a portfolio, whether you're applying for contests or applying for college. It all kind of comes together. Can we get the next slide? Before I get to what we have to look forward in high school, so as far as middle school, 6th grade is pretty much an opportunity for us to level the playing field. Because visual arts is not a standardized curriculum like like math or ELA, there's no telling what the students that are coming in, what their background is. And there are many, many schools that really just don't even really have a cohesive arts program. They may have one art class, like a general art class, but when they come into Northwest, the expectations are a little bit higher, the standards are a little bit higher. So sixth grade is a key place where we try to make sure everybody kind of gets on the same page, if that makes sense. Because everybody's coming in at a different level. Seventh, starting with sixth grade, that's pretty much where their focus is a lot of how to do this, how to do that. Seventh and eighth grade, they're taking their 2D class, which is similar to their sixth grade class, but then we require them to take a 3D semester class to supplement so that we can continue to scaffold and build those three-dimensional skills. So when I say three-dimensional, we're talking about sculpture. We're talking about, anything that, a physical object, as opposed to a flat, 2D work. When I say 2D, we're talking about paintings, drawings, photography, that sort of thing. So yeah, like Mr. Nagel mentioned earlier also, just because the students are there for middle school doesn't mean that they're automatically going to high school. So a lot of what the students need to focus on in middle school is the expectation that they want to prepare for their high school portfolio, because in middle school, because we're trying to bring them all, get them on that same page and skill level, sometimes it doesn't work. There's a lot of exploration that happens in middle school. The students figure out whether or not this is the place for them a lot of times in middle school. So by the time, they have to apply for ninth grade, some of them already know, okay, well, maybe this is not for me. Maybe I'm not a lifelong artist. But for some of them, by the time they hit the end of eighth grade, they're like, okay, I definitely want this, so I'm getting my portfolio together, that sort of thing. So, because in high school, same as the other majors, this is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, and we really hit the ground running and try to get these kids ready for these top art programs. Top art schools, we're talking about at the collegiate level, RISD, which is Rhode Island School of Design, MICA's in Baltimore, Maryland, Ringling down in Florida. Like, these are top art schools. Our students are going there. Pratt in New York. The students get in and they prepare. As long as they prepare and they do the work, we've had pretty good success. But we also don't want to make sure we also don't focus purely on getting into school. I don't want people to think that we're just trying to funnel kids into art school. Because we also make sure that they know that what we teach is valid, not only by itself, but it does cross over into other areas. It is important, if you want to go into medicine, your anatomy practice is going to pay off. Your manual dexterity, if you want to become a surgeon, is going to pay off. So there's a lot of takeaways for students. I've had students that have successfully finished high school and thanked me for preparing them for some of these other areas, even though they knew they weren't going into art specifically. They believe that they'll continue the practice because of some of the other things they benefited from. But let me go back into what we have here, looking forward to high school. So in high school, we do have ceramics. So ceramics is, we're working with clay, essentially. Sculpture is separate, and sculpture, even though it includes clay, this is going into other means of creating, three-dimensional objects or art. Metals and fibers, which is similar to craft because of the jewelry making component, and then we've got working with fabric, paper, that sort of thing. Photography, we're probably one of the only schools left with a dark room, because as we all know, as time goes by, there's more and more reliance upon digital, especially dealing with what we're dealing with now. But it is a privilege to still be able to teach the kids the dark room. We do have printmaking. Got 2D MMA is what we call it, but it's materials, methods, and applications, which is essentially our drawing. It's a combined drawing and painting class. And this is like are really, this is a core class that really gets them prepared for their portfolios. I mean, particularly if they're 2D oriented artists. This is where they're really expected to operate at a high level of proficiency. We do have AP Art History, which is not a studio class, but they're really doing a survey of their historical periods, things of that nature. And then of course, AP Art and Design, formerly known as AP Studio. This is, the students are preparing a college level portfolio. That is what they get graded on by international artists and college professors. That's who's grading those AP portfolios. And so the whole year is dedicated to them creating up to 10, 12 quality works. It is intense because they have to juggle their other AP classes, their other classes in general. So it is a discipline. And that's the main thing, with this school in particular, not just this major, is these students have decided to undertake these disciplines. And I like that word because that really is what it takes for them to succeed in the areas they want to go. I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm leaving out. Couple of things regarding the audition in particular, because I know there were a couple of things with auditioning. There's no obviously now with the stay-at-home order, there's no in-person requirement, but one thing we have spoken about is we may reach out to those that have submitted a request for an audition for a brief, a brief like 5-minute meeting. That way we can just sort of get a little face-to-face introduction with the students aside, in addition to your digital audition materials. If you don't know what something is, for instance, if you don't know what a still life is, please ask somebody. All the requirements are there for you to review on the website. I can't stress enough, please follow directions. Please follow the directions. But if there's something you don't know, please ask us. Email me or one of my colleagues, or ask if you have an art teacher at your school, email them. Or Google it. Nowadays, pretty much anything, you just Google it. You'll find examples, you'll find the definitions. If you don't know what a still life is, if you don't know what we mean by perspective, ask. There's no harm in asking. It doesn't count against you because you had to ask. Nobody thinks, we're not thinking anybody's dumb or anything like that. We appreciate you reaching out. Yeah, and one thing in reference to your submissions also, take pictures of your students while they're working, like progress. We like to see progress shots. That is part of what we call a portfolio or a journal. So along the way while they're working, take photos of your work before it's finished. Of course, in addition to your final, we do want you to submit your finalized piece, but progress shots help tell the story of how you work and what kind of artist you are. And I think that's it. Mr. Nagel, am I leaving anything out?
Yeah, I'm going to just jump in on something before we turn it over to the next person. So 2 things. One, and Ms. Davis is going to go into this with you again, but especially rising 6th graders, middle school students, people who fail the audition a lot of times are failing the audition because they did not take the time to really understand and read the requirements for a successful audition. So you got this one shot and you really got to come with your game. And if you leave something out in the audition process, your chances of having a successful audition is not going to take place. Ms. Davis will touch upon that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the theater itself. So, and in 2013, we were really fortunate for the voters of Charlotte gave, in the bond referendum, gave the school $9.5 million to build a state-of-the-art theater. Now, this might not sound like a big deal, but this is a huge deal. And hopefully when all of this is over and we can get back to some kind of normalcy and you get to see this at the school. But we spent 3 months, and CMS was extremely generous. We spent 3 months designing the theater, and they gave us almost every single thing that we asked for. And if you come into our 600-seat stadium seat theater, you will be completely blown away by what you see. There are colleges that don't have it, and there are professional small theater companies that do not have the type of theater that we have. And why is that important? Because it was designed for every major. So the wood that was chosen for the stage was created so that the dancers could perform safely on the stage. The theater has a fly system where we have the capability of dropping in and out, set scenery, flying them in, flying them out. We have an elevated orchestra pit. We have LED lighting that is unbelievable. We have the same light and sound system as the Neil Simon Theater in New York City. It is an amazing place where students get to practice and perform in a professional environment, and the colleges know that as well. So that's an excellent part. And the other aspect, and not to leave any of the departments out, Mr. Wilson mentioned it earlier, is that we created an art gallery. So instead of having the traditional theater where you enter and you mingle in a lobby, you have that, but you also have now on display 2D and 3D artwork in the outer lobby, and then the inner lobby, as you connect to the stadium seats, there's a portrait gallery. And this has been huge. And then in 2017, the bond referendum was put out there again, and the voters were once again very generous. We are getting there's a picture of the inside of our theater, and the picture went up because I did leave out. We have a Regal Cinema type setup. It's for film. So it's pretty awesome when you drop that screen and you put the films on. And then the art gallery is there. It's just, it's an amazing experience for the kids. And again, with our relationships that we have in the arts community, we have curators that come over from the Gann Center, and the kids learn from the McCall Center how to curate their artwork. The symphony is all over the school all the time. The symphony has rehearsed at the school. At one point, we were like their main go-to place for rehearsals. And hopefully that's going to start up again. We're in the conversation stage before all this happened, where Opera Carolina was going to do some of their series at the school. It's just an amazing place that you have that theater at the school. So with that, I believe we're turning it over now to Mr. French, who's going to talk to you about all the nuts and bolts of Northwest.
Good morning. It's afternoon now. We switched over. I'm Mr. French. I'm one of the school counselors at Northwest School of the Arts, and I'm going to kind of cover some of the actual academic type things that we will be discussing here from this point forward. And then I'll turn it over to Ms. Davis. Academics at Northwest are still required to achieve the same you have to achieve the same promotion in graduation requirements at NWSA as you would at any other traditional high school, middle school, wherever you are attending. So in middle school, students must take math, language arts, science, social studies, health, and PE. In high school, they are still the 24 graduation requirements. With middle school, we do offer, can you go to the next slide, please, I think? Yeah, honors and curriculum is in middle school as well as it is in high school. Within the honors curriculum in middle school, you can take honors language arts and then honors math. Starting next year, our 7th graders, some of our 7th graders will be able to start taking Math 1, and then they will be eligible to take Math 2 high school credit in 8th grade year. But most of the time, most of our 8th graders will take standard math or honors math 8 and then go into Math 1 if they take Math 1 in their 8th grade year. NWSA offers, I said 14 in the slide, but it's actually 15. I left one off, and I apologize, Mr. Wilson, which is our AP 2D and 3D design class. But they are actually listed there for you, and the PowerPoint will be listed there with all of the classes on there for you. If we do not offer an AP level class that is offered offered at another school, such as, let's say, AP Computer Science, we will allow students to take AP Computer Science, AP French, things like that we don't offer through North Carolina Virtual Public School. We also create a relationship with other high schools that if we don't offer it and they offer it during the time that the student can go over and take that class, we will allow them to go do that and then come back to our school and take the curriculum classes and their arts classes with us at Northwest. But that's just a class that we don't offer at Northwest. If we offer it at Northwest, the student must take it at Northwest. Okay? The next slide, please. All right, so what I'm going to do is talk to you next about a typical day at Northwest School of the Arts. This is kind of broken down by different grade levels. So if you bear with me, if you're 6th grade and 7th grade, you kind of get to see what the schedules will look like. So for 6th and 7th grade, there are 90-minute classes and they have a hybrid schedule, meaning they have an everyday class and an A-day, B-day class. So if we look over here for first semester, you'll see that a student will take English every day, math every day, and then they'll take science for one semester every day, and then they will take maybe their elective major on an A day, and then on a B day they will do, because we're on an A day, B day, on the B day they'll do the language arts, the math, the science for first semester, and then possibly health and PE. Then we look at second semester. On second semester they'll do language arts still every day for that, because that's for the whole year, math, and then they'll switch that science into their social studies class. And then they will have an elective major, still their year-long A-day, B-day major class that they audition for will continue throughout the whole year. Now in that second semester on the B-day, that language arts, math, and social studies still stays the same, but they will have what is called a semester elective class. Some of these classes can be within some of the art majors, such as dance or drama. They have semester elective classes that you can take in place of that. And then some of our art major kids, they are actually taking a semester of art to kind of build on their 3D schedule with them. You can go to the next slide, please. In high school in 8th grade, it's kind of a little bit similar schedule here. In 8th grade, you will have language arts, math, science, and then an elective or your year-long major elective. And then on the B day, you will have language arts, math, science, and then health and PE in a semester elective. And then in high school, it's going to be pretty much that same schedule. You'll have to take the English to science, 2 electives, social studies, math, and then 2 electives as well until you gain the amount of credits you need to graduate in high school. All right, and then we're going to move on to the next thing I want to kind of cover. The next thing I kind of wanted to cover is just to give you an idea of where our kids actually do attend. I just saw the message down there and I'll answer that real quickly. Foreign language is offered at Northwest. That is Spanish is the only one that we offer currently at Northwest. However, like I said previously with kids who are taking NCVPS, they can actually take French online, Russian, German, Latin. We also offer sign language as a foreign language as well through Edgenuity as well. So those are the questions for that. Hope that I answered that for you. We just wanted to give you an idea where some of our kids go. A lot of our kids, they do tend to want to go into their art majors, but some of them decide they want to do some of the traditional schools. So you will see a list of those there, from Appalachian State to, of course, we've had some that have gone to Harvard, Duke University, Chapel Hill, Winthrop, A&T. We also have some that are doing their military service currently right now. We actually have some that go into like their own professional dance companies. Some of our students are professionals through North Carolina Dance Theater, a relationship that we have with them. And so what happens is they actually can a lot of them get signed out of that program and they go directly into the dance profession. We actually have some that are currently musicians out in the world making music directly out of high school. We do have some that are at Elon, as some of the other presenters have said, Savannah College of Arts and Design, Micah, RISD, New York University, Davidson, North Carolina School of the Arts, and we actually have had some who have hit Broadway. I know some of you have heard of probably Eva Novenzado. We actually have had another one that went on Broadway after she graduated as well. And our students are everywhere doing many different things. As Mr. Wilson said, which is very interesting, I'm glad he brought that up. Some of our kids, once they get through high school or they decide, this may not be my goal to do art the rest of their lives, but they can take those same skill sets that they learn within their art classes and in their theater classes or in their music classes, and then can move those into their daily lives as skill sets that they have learned. We have a lot of kids that may decide to do that, and they choose to do that, and we support them in getting to where they need to be. As far as scholarship money is concerned, our kids bring in millions every year. I don't say we do it because our kids are amazing and they do that themselves. They bring in the money themselves and actually produce that type of money for scholarships and things of that nature, because they're the ones auditioning, they're the ones writing the recommendations, they're the ones writing the essays, and they're the ones doing the outstanding leadership work throughout their community as well. So they bring in millions of dollars for scholarships for themselves to show that off. So we are eligible for a lot of the national scholarships. We have had national merit finalists, semifinalists as well as we've had some of the Bill Gates finalists as well. So our kids stretch from all different types of the time frame, all different types of social economic. You'll have kids coming from North Charlotte that are also coming from South Charlotte, from some that are coming from the western part of the city. We pull from all over, and I love that our kids, when they come together, their main goal is to focus on their art, and they match and they connect based on that, not about the clique or what neighborhood they are from. So with that all being said, I'm going to turn it over to actually one of my former students, Miss Davis, Kashara Davis, who's our auditions coordinator. She is actually one of the graduates from one of my first few classes that I was here when they actually graduated. So Miss Davis, I'm turning this over to you.
Thank you, Mr. French. I appreciate it so much. Welcome everyone to our streaming event. I'm very, very grateful to be here. As Mr. French said, I am an alumni of Northwest School of the Arts, and I am very proud to just be here today and representing Northwest in such a wonderful way as the Auditions Coordinator. I do not want to take too much of your time today. We have been going on today, and I want to make sure that all of our applicants have everything that they need. And I also want to make sure that we have a little bit of time to answer some questions at the end here. So I'm just going to be brief, but again, hold your questions to the very end, and we will try to get to those questions. Next slide, please. Some important items. I want to see everybody's pen and pad. I want everybody to write down the following important items. You're going to need these items for the next, I would say for the next part of this entire process, not only to keep in contact with myself, but also to be able to get all of your information. The first thing, please write down the auditions, my contact email. That's the auditions email, nwsa.auditions@cms.k12.nc.us. I don't see you writing those down. I want to see everybody's pens. All right, so we want to make sure that you write that down. That is my personal email for the Northwest Auditions email address. So that's going to be very important. I have been receiving a lot of your emails, and please make sure that you are patient because we're trying to make sure that we are meeting every applicant's needs. The second thing down is the Northwest Auditions website. The second bullet here, Northwest NWSA auditions.com is our auditions website. That's where you're going to find all of the, first of all, the audition request form. It is online. It's a digital request form now. That's also where you can find all of your requirements for your major areas. Again, we want to reinforce that you have to make sure, as your and parents, please make sure that your child is reading and understanding those requirements. We want to make sure that students are successful, and a successful applicant is going to know and understand the audition overall requirements and all of just overall being prepared for the audition. So please make sure that you have this written down. My email address the Northwest Auditions email address, and the Auditions website. The last thing I wanted to talk about on this page, another important item, is the deadline for applications, which is May 5th. We actually, 15th, excuse me. We actually changed that deadline to May 15th to be guaranteed an audition. I know in times like this, where schools are shut down, everything's uncertain. One thing we can be sure of is that if you get your application in, your audition request in by May 15th, then we will honor that audition. So just wanted to make sure that you have these 3 items. Please write them down. And if you need these, again, this will be recorded, so this will be available to you later on. Next slide, please. So just going to go into it for the audition process. Requesting an audition, you will need to start with completing an online audition request form. This is located at that website, that auditions website, northwestauditions.com, NWSA auditions.com. Please make sure you visit that website first so that you can complete the audition process. A little bit about this. If your child is currently a CMS school, you just be ensured that you have that CMS ID number. There's a place in the on the form for the audition request that you need to put in the ID number. Now, if your child is new or returning to CMS, they will not have an active CMS number. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to enroll your student into CMS for the 2020-21 school year. Now, this is referred to as future enrollment. Now, I have a contact right here that if you are outside of CMS, I would write this contact down. Claudia Agrisoni, she is the direct contact for future enrollments right now. And in order for us to schedule your audition, you need to pre-enroll. With that entire process, what you'll do is you'll first of all go to the CMS student placement website, where you'll be able to get information. All of the student placement specialists have contacts on that website, and they'll be able to help you with future enrollment. The way that this works with future enrollment is that you will receive an enrollment receipt. Usually what they'll do is get you in contact with your closest home school, and they will give you some pre-enrollment, and they will give you an enrollment receipt. Usually, if we were having face-to-face auditions, you would paper clip your enrollment receipt with your audition request. Since we're not doing that, we're having an online audition form. What you can do is you can scan and upload any documents to that email address for the auditions. So again, if you have any questions about the enrollment, student placement is going to be the place to go, as well as this contact, claudia1.agrisoni@cmsk12.nc.us. Again, just wanted to remind everybody, don't wait until that May 15th deadline. Please make sure that you are making contact to get pre-enrolled so that we can go ahead and get you scheduled for your auditions. Next slide. Thank you. Scheduling your auditions. What's going to happen is you are going to, our majors are, all of our areas are auditioning. We want to keep this process going, and we want to meet the needs of our applicants. So right now, our music and instrumental music auditions are by appointment only. You heard a lot of our teachers speak about their audition process, and I'm going to go through like a little example in just a moment, just to show you how to at least get your requirements and get to that audition form. But right now, our music and instrument auditions are by appointment. The basic process is that when you submit your audition request, someone will be in contact with you about how to sign up. Most of the music classes have a Sign Up Genius, in which they are conducting Zoom video conference auditions. a lot of the process is that your child will be able to, after looking at all of and understanding all of the audition requirements for their area, that they would be, after they sign up for their audition, they would be sent a link the Thursday prior to their Friday audition. Many of our teachers are using their Friday non-instructional days to audition students. So again, music and instruments appointments are done by via Zoom. As for our visual arts, dance, and theater departments, they are all accepting submissions. So that is a process that I will also go through with you just briefly, just to show you how to access the audition requirements. But it's very important that I'd say right now that a past audition does not guarantee a spot at Northwest. However, we are looking to fill our available seats, and I'll talk to you about that in just a moment. Checking email and voicemails is very crucial right now, especially if you submit an audition request. Please make sure you check your email and voicemails. We are making sure that you all can get information from us, but please make sure you also read the audition requirements and go to the website for yourself so that you can see it. Don't wait for us to send anything for you. Go to that website that I shared with you and make sure that you read those audition requirements for your area carefully so that your student can be prepared. I can't stress this enough. Again, that's kind of our way that we are going about scheduling auditions right now. Just remember that music is more appointments and Zoom conferences, and then all of the other major art areas are uploading documents and video submissions. Next slide. Last thing I wanted to talk to you about, we've talked about completing the online audition request form. We've talked about making sure scheduling and making sure that you are looking at your audition requirements for your area. The last thing I wanted to talk about is getting audition results. When you go through the process of completing the online form, scheduling, and then going through the audition, and then you're waiting for your audition results, what you need to do is just contact me via email at the email address that you see up there. Please make sure you jot down my email address so that you know who to at least ask questions, because I'm here and I'm able to answer your questions, even to guide you to the right area, whatever I need to do. But also, you'll put your child's name in the title as well as the area that they auditioned for. So let me back up. You'll put your child's name in the subject line when you're emailing, and then in the rest of the email, you're going to be telling me what area they auditioned for, and then I will email you back with those next steps. Again, a past audition does not, we just want to remind you, it does not guarantee a spot here at Northwest. We are looking to fill spots and seats that are open for different grade levels, such as 6th grade, 9th grade, 11th, and 12th. We are accepting applications for 8th and 10th, and 7th grade has a waiting list, but we still want to encourage your child to audition. We never know who's going to leave during the summer. We never know for what reason or when students are going to be leaving and seats will come available. So it's really a good idea to get ahead of the curve and make sure that your child has a past audition so that they can be eligible. All right, last slide. Thank you, Beth. Okay, so just some things, some items to remember. Remember to explain to your child and just be realistic about the process with them, that, you know, they can audition. Spots not guaranteed, but it is a process in which we want to have them audition, not only for the, ability to get in, but for the experience to audition. A lot of our students, including myself, are their careers. The school is really focused on pre-professionals. So we really want to prepare the student for the career outlook of auditioning and putting themselves out there and building their skills, receiving feedback and criticism. So it's a really unique process, and it's really good, I would say, because I benefited from this program. A student can only audition for 2 areas, and you may not re-audition within the same year for the same area. So again, at the bottom, there are available space for mostly 6th, 9th, 11th, 12th. 8th and 10th have no wait list, and 7th has a wait list. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take this presentation, and I'm just going to briefly show everyone how you would go about going to our website. Okay, so somebody tell me if you can see my screen. Just making sure.
We could see it, but there's nothing there.
Okay, hang on.
So I'm going to jump in while you're getting that together. The seats are very fluid. If you successfully pass your audition, you will probably hear from us sometime over the summer as far as space goes. I could tell you that I've been doing this for a number of years. We lose about 80 to 120 families per year. This year could be, who knows, because of the job market, relocations, we have no idea of knowing. So the only grades that we could actually say with almost certain confidence is 11th and 12th grade, that if you successfully pass the audition, you will have a seat. And just the reason why 11th and 12th is that way is because of our bell schedule, being 9:15 to 4:15. Most high school students do not want to be in school till 4:15, where the other high schools at CMS get out at 2:15. Which I also want to mention something about the sports, which I said is like an evil word around the campus. If you do have a student who is way into sports, they are able to do sports at what would be their home school. Because remember, Northwest is not a home school for anybody. And the only problem that they usually run into is the fact that we're 9:15 to 4:15, and those other schools, especially the high schools, are 7:15 to 2:15. So their sports programs start around 2:30. Another question that's always asked is about double majors and majoring. So in the middle school, you can only do one major. In the high school, most of our students, or a huge percentage, double major. There are kids who triple major. As you go through high school, you finish off your required courses, which then opens up your day to take other courses. There are students who are seniors who do one section of English, and then they'll do 3 classes in their arts a day. So 3 plus the English, and then on the B day, they could be doing 4 arts classes. So there's a lot more flexibility in high school as far as what you want to do, double major, triple major. One of the things that you can do, and there are some exceptions to that, is if you are a dance major, you can't just sign up for a course in orchestra. You would still have to audition to do those classes. We do have certain elective classes in some of the majors. They're far and few between. You can count them on one hand. So again, the reason for that is to hold up the integrity of the classes. So we just don't let people who have no background in the art, just because they were a student at Northwest, sign into that. So I will turn it back over to you, Shara.
Thank you. Okay, so I think this is working now. Yes or no, are we on the website?
Yes.
Okay, so just to let everybody know, this is again, the auditions website, NWSA, auditions.com here. When you get to the website, you'll see that there are multiple tabs. for you to not only know about the audition process, but there's also, this tab is also where you can find dates and deadlines, audition requirements, and there's a drop down here where you can see every area so that you will be able to choose. So even if you want to go in and see the requirements for band, you can go in and see it there. And you can also see the old requirements for the face-to-face auditions that were posted prior to the COVID-19. But a lot of teachers are still requiring that you look at these requirements. So it's just a good idea to look at these requirements and just familiarize yourself with them. There's also a place for frequently asked questions. If you have, for all online auditions, if you have any questions just about what your audition is going to be like. I'm going to go back to the main page just because this is what you really need to make sure that you know is when you get to the main page and scroll down, the audition request form, the online audition request form is right here. It'll open up to a Google form in which you need to fill this out with your student's information, including that CMS ID. Remember, if you do not have a CMS ID, you need to pre-enroll using that contact that I gave you or visiting the student placement website. But again, you're putting in all of your information, including contact information and first, second choice major information. And then there's a place at the end to mark that you understand. So please make sure that you're reading everything in its entirety. Also, if you're on the main page, just know that that's where the audition request form is. And you can also scroll down and there is a process that is numbered that you can follow that will pretty much guarantee that your information is with us. So please make sure that you are following each step as you see it online. A lot of people, some people are making contacts with their teachers first, and you're still going to get redirected to the overall process. So please make sure that you're following the process of completing that online request form, making sure that you're enrolled with and have a CMS number, or at least an active CMS number, ID number, and also making sure that you see this audition announcements page that will lead you to audition announcements about everything that is going on, including deadlines or messages for our applicants. I'm just going to really quick go through. We do have a couple of other tabs here, one that will tell you about our school. This tab will give you an overview about all of the academic overviews, art classes offered, transportation information, booster club information. So please feel free to learn more about our school by using this tab. I'm just going to go really quickly so we can get some questions answered, but I'm going to go through this process as if someone was auditioning for dance, say for instance, just like Ms. McLeod gave you information about today. So if your student is interested in dance, for example, they are going to go to the audition requirements either with this drop down, here, or you can actually just click on audition requirements and it'll take you to one entire page. And it says here, that you need to make sure, reminding you to submit your audition request form and to make sure that you're reading the audition requirements. We have audition requirements for every area, so we're going to find it for dance. When we find the audition requirements for dance, we open that page. There's a video for almost pretty much every major area, so please watch that video. Our teachers are explaining to you a lot about the program, many of which you heard today. You'll get additional information, but make sure you look at the video, watch the video, encourage your student to watch the video. And for our purposes, I'm going to open the middle school dance virtual audition requirements. and that is going to open up the dance virtual audition requirements. Now, every department is different, so just make sure that when you're looking at the audition requirements that you are reading them completely so as to not to miss anything. And just like Mr. Wilson said earlier, if you have questions, feel free to ask us questions. Reach out to your current dance teacher, your current art teacher, whatever it is, or reach out to myself and I'll try my best to get that question answered for you. As you can see on this requirement page, there are requirements for students to submit their videos, and there's actually a link a lot of times for our majors for you to open up to an actual submission form. So this right here would be the instructions, the requirements or the instructions, but these are telling you what you need to upload. And that link will open up to how you will actually upload your documents. So again, for this particular link, their video uploads would happen on section 2. But again, it's important to read all the instructions and to make sure that everything is answered. I'm going to do another one real quick. For example, for, let's say, orchestra, since Ms. Hefner is with us today. Just to give everybody advance heads up, just make sure that you understand that music auditions are slightly different than theater and visual arts auditions. These are the auditions that are having Zoom conference auditions. So you will actually be auditioning in front of your instructor. So if I'm on the orchestra auditions page, and you see here that they have instructions that auditions will be held Fridays from 10 to 11, and that auditioners will actually enter a Zoom waiting room, and the teacher will allow them to play their audition requirements. Now, right here is where you'll see a sign up, and the teacher usually will send you your Zoom link the Thursday prior to their audition. As I go into click the sign up genius, you can already see some people are signed up. But again, making sure that you are signed up and making sure that you have all of the requirements, that's going to put you in the best place. So without any further ado, I want to make sure that can everybody see me now again?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, I want to make sure that everybody has a clear understanding that every department has a different process. But overall, if you want to audition, you have the opportunity to do so. But just make sure that you are understanding the requirements. And parents, please make sure that your students understand and are prepared, because we want to make sure that we are approaching this with quality, and we want to also make sure that we are getting students prepared. So right here you'll see thank you, Beth, the majors at Northwest School of the Arts. This PowerPoint will be or this video will be available for you, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me or reach out to any of the teachers, but please try to go through me so that I can reach out to the teachers for you. Other than that, again, I just want to thank everybody for attending today. We are going to take questions, Beth and I, and hopefully I was able to answer a lot of questions that you all had. And if not, again, we can make sure that we find the answer for you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Before we move on to the questions, if anybody wants to, not hang around, that's great. That's fine. The formal part of the presentation is definitely over, and I want to thank you for attending. And Dan, I also want to thank our presenters for doing this for you. We thought it was really important to be detail oriented and let you know what the expectations are and what any questions that you might have. I also want to make a big shout out to Beth Slater, who is our media specialist, who is my partner in crime, my work wife. None of what's taking place today Okay, none of this today would take place if it wasn't for Ms. Slater, and I count on her for everything that I do at my job. So now we will allow questions and address any. Ms. Slater, turn it over to you.
Yes, I want to say really quick too, friendsofnorthwest.com. I just put it in the chat for those of you who are in here with us. That is the website for the PTO, and I just talked to our PTO president, Kelly Pekarsik, and she said that it is updated. And they also have some NWSA flag if you would like to purchase shirts or anything like that. So I just wanted to throw that out there for you. So questions, let's see. So there was a question, if we pre-enroll in CMS and we do not get accepted into Northwest, does that unenroll us in our current school? If we don't get into Northwest, we want to continue to go to our current non-CMS school.
I'll let Mr. French address that.
If you are pre-enrolled into Northwest, pre-enrolled in the district, so can I get a little bit more clarity as to the question you're asking? Is the current school outside of CMS?
Yes, that's what it appears to be.
Okay, if it's outside of CMS, you can easily, we won't automatically withdraw you into Northwest because of that, no. You can stay at your current home school, wherever that may be, if it's outside of CMS, as long as it's not, now if it is like a county school and you're changing your full address, then that might change. But as long as you are doing like a charter school or something like that, that does not automatically mean you're coming to Northwest. You can still stay at your charter school.
Thank you, Mr. French. Can someone address what happens if someone's already auditioned? So we have, it looks like a few people in here who's already auditioned and maybe they found out that they passed or not. And if they did pass, so where are they right now? What are they doing?
I can answer that. Right now, transfer processes are still ongoing. If you did previously audition and pass, and if you did go through the lottery, you were on a wait list. If you did not get to the school, placed in the school through the lottery, you were placed on the wait list. Anybody that is, as we are accepting students based on seats, available seats, we will reach out to our wait list first to have students accept those seats. And then we'll start getting our the rest of our students in. Now, if you did put in a transfer request, student placement is currently still working on processing all of those transfers. So until you get a letter from placement, which they said should be mid-April, but you should just know that until you get a letter saying that you're placed in Northwest, student placement is still in the process of completing those transfer requests.
But let's just make sure that those people understand that if you do have the request for transfer already processed with us, you do have a seat at Northwest. Yes. That's not in question. It's just a matter of, with everything that happened, the transfer request did not go through yet. So next, Ms. Slater.
Sure. So does anyone have any advice on finding out or figuring out if you're a good fit for Northwest?
Well, I would say if you listen through this whole presentation and you have a passion for visual and performing arts, then it's a good fit for you. We're not a typical school. We're very artsy. We're very arts focused. 99% of the students want to be at the school. That's what makes it different than other schools, is that people are going through hoops like yourselves who are thinking of auditioning to want to have a seat at Northwest. And I can tell you the kids take their arts really seriously. The few behavioral problems that we have are for kids who do not want to be at the school, but the parents wanted them to come to the school because we have a great academic reputation. And they don't take their art seriously. And then they're in classes where the kids do not play games. They take their art seriously. And if you have somebody in the room who is not like-minded over their art, that's where we get a behavioral problem. So if you have a passion for art, it's a great place to be.
Thank you. Let's see. I was trying to go back and make sure all the earlier questions were answered. It looks like the earlier ones were. If you wanted to post again, if you weren't quite sure about something, there were questions about auditions and deadlines and stuff, but I think that should have been answered. And then, how will distant learning happen if we happen to be quarantined in the fall? And I know we don't know much information, but if you wanted to just speak to that briefly.
I could tell you that our staff, we were, I believe, and Ms. Slater can correct me, we were the very first school in CMS to have 100% take-home policy on Chromebooks, what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? So we are really way ahead of the curve. Our staff, they have just jumped on, whether it's Zoom or Canvas or anything, and they're all holding virtual classes. Unfortunately, it's not required at this point. So a student has the option of participating or not participating. But for instance, I go into all of the classes as the administrator, and I could see, musical theater. There's like 100% participation with the kids, and they're actually doing what they would do to a large extent in the classroom. They're doing virtually. I've seen our dance teachers conduct dance classes, visual arts working on arts projects. So, as we all find out where we're going on this, my guess is that no matter what happens, we're going to probably all have to be in a hybrid environment until they find a cure or vaccine for this, because there will be flare-ups with this, and there will probably be occasions where we don't go to school. And I could say that my arts teachers, as well as the core teachers, are all working on being able to deliver 100% of the arts curriculum. Where we wouldn't be able to deliver would be in the live performances, which are absolutely, magical. That would be more of a challenge, and maybe, down the road from using technology, we'll be able to figure that one out. So hopefully that answered that question.
Thank you. I'm confused on the difference between the audition request form and the virtual audition Google form from the virtual audition Google form. If we could just, I guess, clarify real quickly the audition, and then someone else just asked a few minutes ago if we could explain a bit about the lottery process.
Well, I'm going to just talk real fast about the lottery process, and then I'll let Ms. Davis answer the other question. So we are beyond the lottery process at this point. The lottery process has ended. So what we're talking about now are, we still have space at the school, and we potentially will even have more space at the school based on the fact that every year we lose about 10% of the families because of a whole host of reasons. Moving, job relocations, they just don't want to come back to the school, they just, whatever reason. So the lottery does not come into play anymore. Normally what would happen, so starting next year again, in the beginning of the year, we would start holding auditions like October, November, December in preparation for the first lottery. And then we see where we are, and then we have the second lottery. Okay, so we're post-lottery. Lottery does not come into play at this point. And I'll let Ms. Davis answer the other question.
Yes, and about the form, just making sure everyone is understanding, the online audition form is the only way for us to know that you are wanting to schedule an audition. Now that is on the website. We usually have a paper form, but we had to make an online form because we're not able to have people come to the building and turn it in. So we have an online form, and that online form just needs to be completed prior to you being able to get an audition scheduled. So again, that audition form is on the website, nwsaauditions.com, and you need to make sure that you fill out that audition request form and make sure that your CMS ID is on it. And if you do not have a CMS ID, you need to make sure that you enroll by going to the CMS student placement website.
Okay, next.
May I ask a question, please?
Sure.
I apologize for backtracking because you did touch on it. But with the lottery no longer being an option, obviously, is there still an opportunity for a rising sixth grader who, let's say, hopefully will pass their audition, and let's say there's space in sixth grade? Is there still an opportunity for them to go to school without them being on that lottery list?
Yes, so the lottery list is no longer, the lottery's over. There is no lottery list.
Correct,
So
right.
anybody that was in the lottery, pretty much who passed, got placed at the school. So there might have been like in seventh grade 1 or 2, like we're talking like very low single digits who are on a wait list. But the lottery is nowhere in any of this anymore.
So even, of course, with it not being around, the lottery, there still is an opportunity, though, as long as they audition and, you know, do all of those.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We will definitely, unequivocally, we will definitely have space. I can't tell you how much in sixth grade. That's 100% certain. Can't tell you if it's 10 seats. I can't tell you if it's 30 seats, but there will definitely be space. I can 100% guarantee you that if somebody passes an audition for 11th or 12th grade, that is, that's a definite. Because no matter what, we're not going to fill 11th and 12th grade. So
that works. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, guys.
No, great. Thank you. Great question.
Thank you.
So we have a question, Ms. Davis. You said that we're sending letters home if they are in the placement to go to Northwest. Who do we give our address to for that kind of information, to get that information?
So student placement, everybody that passes our auditions, student placement gets information. We pass the information that you pass to student placement, and at that point it's in their hands, and they have all of your information, your CMS ID and everything like that. So they already have all of your contact information, including your address. The best thing to do is to wait for student placement. If you want to call, student placement has been very, very helpful during this time. It would help if you went to the student placement website. They have a list of all of their specialists who would feel, you know, who are very helpful, and they would be happy to give you information. But right now, what I've been told from being in contact with student placement is that they're still processing everything. So just be patient and, you know, reach out. I'd also have the student placement website on our website. There's a link on there, and there's also a link from our frequently asked questions. So there's a lot of stuff on our auditions website that has to do with student placement, so that you can be in contact with them too should you have any questions. But feel free to contact me directly, and I can actually send your name over to student placement to see what the status is if you want to.
Thank you. I know we had one question that Ms. McLeod answered, but it would be helpful if it was said out loud, I think, to everyone. And that was if we've ever had students that stay with a host family in order to attend our school. For example, foreign exchange students or kids who are out of county.
Is Ms. McLeod still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite things to do. We have had long-term foreign exchange students, semester-long, year-long, foreign exchange students from every part of the world to come to our school just for a specific major. is awesome. But we also have a shorter term program where we have this exchange program with a high school in Denmark for the past 5-6 years, and a group of students will come and stay with our families, some of our families, and attend school, and then we'll go over to Denmark and attend school with them. And it's really awesome. Corona messed our plans up for this year, but it's okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What else?
If someone is double majoring or is interested in double majoring, do they well, can we talk about that process, I guess, for wanting to audition for 2 different majors?
So if you are going to audition for, again, in middle school, if you audition for 2 and you pass both, you're going to have to pick one. So that's easy enough. Let's say you audition for dance, you audition for musical theater, you pass both, you're going to have to dig down deep for middle school and say, which one do you want to do? For high school, if you pass 2, then when you sit down with the counselor, the guidance counselors will give you all the opportunities that are available in your schedule to maximize the double major. It might be a little bit more limiting in 9th grade, but definitely more open in 11th and 12th grade, for instance. So again, once you know that you are a student at Northwest, the counselors are going to reach out to you. They're going to set up, hopefully by that point, maybe in person, but if not, we've been already doing it virtual for registration. And it's really a means for you to get to know the counselors, and Mr. Wall of the AP is also involved. And they get to hear what you're saying, and they make sure, we want to make sure that you're successful at the school. So, putting you in the right classes is a very personal, we don't just check off boxes and move you into classes. So,
and you are, sorry, Don, I just wanted to reinforce that you do have to audition for, if you are double majoring, you have to make sure that you are auditioning for whatever area you're going into. Middle schoolers, if you are auditioning, you have to make sure, you do not have to audition every year if you're in middle school. I just want to reinforce that, because we've had some people thinking that they need to, my child's in band, in 7th grade, he needs to audition again. You only need to, every person needs to audition. And middle schoolers absolutely have to audition again to make sure that they're in high school, to keep their major, to keep their spot, essentially. But we want to make sure that we reinforce that you need to audition for whatever, if you're changing your major, you need to audition for whatever you're going into. Middle school, you don't have to re-audition every year, except for when you're going into high school. Sorry, Don.
Okay. And we'll take time for one more question, and then after this question, if there are any additional questions, please feel free to email Kashara with any questions that you have, and if she can't answer them, she will get it to one of us who definitely can answer your question. So Ms. Slater.
One question just popped in. When is registration? So let's say they pass the audition and they get accepted and they're coming to Northwest. When do they register?
We'll let Mr. French jump in there.
They will register as soon as we get approval from Ms. Davis in the district saying that the student is already in for Power School. Once they're already in, the system will then register them. We will either do, depends on when we're back, and if we have time this summer to do it this summer. If we do, then we'll be registering them this summer via in person, if we can do that. If not, we'll be registering them through what we call through Zoom calls that we've been doing all the rest of April. And we've been doing calls with new students and their families, getting them registered. So you will talk with a counselor face-to-face, well, either Zoom face-to-face or face-to-face with one of us that way directly. So great. That's how it works. We won't set a date with these as far as a date just yet until we know a big chunk of new students have been entered. Then we will set a date for that.
Perfect. So again, I want to thank everybody who stuck through the 2 hours of this first ever streaming event that we've done. And on behalf of myself and Melody Sears, our principal, thank you for showing interest in Northwest. And I wish everybody a successful audition. And hopefully I'll see you at Northwest. Have a great weekend and stay safe, be well. Bye now.
Thank you.